is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Anjana Dunamgoda and read by Ramesh Peris. The headlines. The Presidential Secretariat establishes 7 task forces to simplify business processes. A target of 602,247 hectares of paddy cultivation set for Yala season this year. A MOU between the Australian Border Force and Sri Lanka Customs for mutual cooperation in custom matters. Litre gas prices reduced with effect from tomorrow. The Minister of Power and Energy says electricity prices to be revised in July. The Examinations Department says adequate applications received for 2022 A-level paper marking for 52 subjects. In news overseas, the UN says the world should prepare for new record-high temperatures. In sports, Sri Lankan athlete Abhiratna in Japan secured first place in 800 meters. Now the local news in detail. In a bid to create a business-friendly environment in the country, the Presidential Secretariat has organized 54 institutions that provide investor facilitation services under 7 task forces on the directives of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The aim is to simplify the processes involved, reduce the time taken, and make information readily available to increase efficiency. Task forces have been given clear deliverables and have made concrete commitments to deliver them. The first review was held on the task force on registering a business, which focuses on legal reforms and operational improvements to facilitate business entry at the Registrar of Companies. Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaraveera stated that the expected target for paddy cultivation in the country for the Yala season this year is 602,247 hectares. The minister made this announcement while addressing a discussion held at the Ministry of Agriculture regarding the agricultural inputs required for paddy cultivation in the Yala season. The highest amount paddy land planted in a single season was recorded at 512,000 hectares in the 2022 season after 10 years. However, considering the amount of land expected to be cultivated in the Yala season of 2023, the minister said the highest extent of paddy land cultivated in the country so far is likely to be recorded in this year's Yala season. An agreement has been reached to sign a memorandum of understanding between the Sri Lanka Customs and the Australian Border Force in order to establish cooperation between the two sides in relation to customs operations. Accordingly, the objectives of the proposed MOU are to strengthen, promote and enhance cooperation and mutual assistance in custom matters, subject to the applicable laws, regulations, procedures and policies of both countries. The draft MOU has received the Attorney General's clearance, a statement on Cabinet decision said. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
Continuing with more local news. Domestic litre gas cylinder prices have been reduced with effect from tomorrow. Accordingly, the price of a 12.5 kilogram litre gas cylinder will be reduced by 100 rupees. Chairman of Litre Gas said, with the revision in price in 12.5 kilogram domestic gas cylinder will be available for 3,638 rupees from tomorrow in Colombo. A 5 kilogram cylinder has been reduced by 40 rupees to 1,462 rupees. Meanwhile, a 2.3 kilogram cylinder has been reduced by 19 rupees and will be sold at 681 rupees from tomorrow. Mudita Peris, chairman of Litre Gas, attributed the price reduction to the fluctuations in prices in the world market and favorable exchange rates. The Labs gas company announced today that there will be no change in the retail price of their cylinders of domestic LP gas, even though the gas prices in the world market has increased. Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijayasekara, has stated electricity prices are due to be revised and reviewed in July this year. Accordingly, the minister noted that electricity prices will be revised in line with the government policy and cabinet decisions taken in 2022 in a bid to implement a cost-reflective pricing mechanism. He further noted that it was decided to review the revised electricity prices biannually in January and July of every year. And that concludes local news.
Virtual Claim Assistance. Sri Lanka Insurance Motor Plus launched its newest value-added service, Virtual Claim Assistance, which allows customers to have their vehicle inspected and assessed remotely by a qualified inspector after an incident. This service eliminates the need for customers to attend physical inspection and assures that their work is properly assessed, giving customers peace of mind. Sri Lanka Insurance Motor Plus, the best from Sri Lanka Insurance.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhartha Mahatmya.
And moving on to the main news story. The Examinations Department has received adequate applications for evaluating answer scripts of 52 subjects of the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Exam. Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of Examinations said the deadline for accepting the applications for 11 other subjects has been extended until midnight tomorrow. The evaluation of answer scripts was delayed by at least 2 months due to the trade union action launched by the Federation of University Teachers Association in protest of the next tax policy. They are urging the government to scrap the recently imposed excessive taxes. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhartha Mahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, the National Building Research Organisation today issued landslide early warnings for several areas in Badulla, Badara and Kegaon districts. Accordingly, a level 1 warning has been issued for the areas Haldamulla and Passara Divisional Secretariat Divisions in Badulla district, Kotapola and Pascoda Divisional Secretariat Divisions in Matara district, and Kegaon Divisional Secretariat Division in Kegaon district. Since the rainfall within the past 24 hours has exceeded 75 millimeters, people living in the aforementioned areas are urged to be on alert about the possibility of landslides, slope failures, rock falls, cutting failures, and ground subsidence. And that was the Watchlight. And moving on to the Bulletin of World News, first the headlines. The UN says the world should prepare for new record high temperatures. At least 9 dead in Serbia school shooting. Thai PM candidate P. Shinawatra to resume campaign after birth of child. Now the world news in detail. The United Nations has warned of a growing likelihood the weather phenomenon El Niño will develop in coming months, fueling higher global temperatures and possibly new heat records. The UN's World Meteorological Organization said it now estimated that there was a 60% chance that El Niño would develop by the end of July and an 80% chance it would do so by the end of September. El Niño, which is a natural occurring climate pattern typically associated with increasing heat worldwide as well as drought in some parts of the world and heavy rains elsewhere, not in years 2018 and 2019. At least 8 students and a security guard are dead after a shooting at a school in Serbia's capital, Belgrade. Another 6 pupils and a teacher were injured in the attack and have been taken to hospital, the Interior Ministry said in a statement. Police arrested a 14-year-old student at a school in central Belgrade in connection with this morning's attack. Officials said the suspect is alleged to have used his father's gun. Looking fresh just 2 days after giving birth, Ms. Shinawatra, a leading candidate for Thailand's premiership, said on Wednesday she was ready to resume campaigning, adding that she remained confident her party would gain a landslide victory in the May 14th general election. The mother of 2 called her children her secret power and confirmed that she would speak at her party's rally on May 12th. Other appearances along the campaign trail will depend on the condition of her newborn son. Back to the headlines of the world news. The UN says world should prepare for new record high temperatures. At least 9 dead in Serbia's school shooting. And Thai Prime Minister candidate P. Shinawatra to resume campaign after birth of child. And that concludes world news.
Development news.
Moving on to development news. A Chinese state-owned firm said on Monday it plans to take its investment in Sri Lanka to $2 billion by building a major logistics hub. Sri Lanka is looking to kickstart its economy, recovering after defaulting on its foreign debt last year when shortages of essentials such as food, fuel and medicine sparked widespread anti-government protests. The investment by China Merchants Group in a large logistics complex at Colombo Port with an estimated construction cost of $392 million is the first major foreign investment in Sri Lanka since the default. The logistics center project will take CMG's accumulated investment in Sri Lanka over $2 billion, making it the largest foreign investment enterprise in the island. And that was development news. Moving on to sports news, athletics, Sri Lanka's Gayantika Abiratne finished first in the women's 800 meters at the Shizuoka Athletics Championships in Japan today. Abiratne finished the event in 2 minutes and 5.59 seconds. The meet is a bronze event on the World Athletics Continental Tour at the second tier of one-day international athletics meets. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's men's 400-meter athlete Aruna Darshana came second in his event with a personal best time of 45.59 seconds. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Bharti Airtel and Dialog Axiata said that they have entered into a binding term sheet to combine the operations of Bharti Airtel Lanka and Dialog. In a release issued on Tuesday, the company said discussions with respect to the proposed merger are ongoing between the two parties and with relevant regulatory authorities. In a statement, Bharti said it envisages Airtel being granted a stake in Dialog, representing the fair value of Airtel Lanka. The company will accordingly be issued new shares in Dialog upon completion of the transactions. And that was business news.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of
For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first, and this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC, imagine the possibilities.
In economic news, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has proposed to introduce a special package in order to attract foreign direct investments in the near future. Joining the Cabinet press conference this morning, Cabinet spokesman Minister Bandula Gunawardena stated that accordingly a package of privileges consisting of state funds and provisions for foreign investment will be introduced soon. Minister Gunawardena pointed out that the unavailability of sufficient encouragement to attract foreign investment remains a huge issue. And that was economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Weather report.
And finally, moving on to the weather report. According to Meteorological Department, showers or thunder showers will occur most parts of the island in the evening. Showers will occur in coastal areas of the Western Province and in the Gaul, Mathura, Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mannar and Putlam districts during the morning too. Very heavy showers of about 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the eastern, Uva and northern provinces and in the Polonnaruwa district. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The Presidential Secretariat establishes 7 task forces to simplify business processes. A target of 602,247 hectares of paddy cultivation set for Yala season this year. A MOU between the Australian Border Force and Sri Lanka Customs for mutual cooperation in custom matters. Little gas prices reduced with effect from tomorrow. The Minister of Power and Energy says electricity prices to be revised in July. The Examinations Department says adequate applications received for 2022 A-level paper marking for 52 subjects. In news overseas, the UN says the world should prepare for new record high temperatures. And in sports, it's athletics. Sri Lankan athlete Abhiratne in Japan secured first place in 800 meters. And that concludes this news broadcast.